Powder Keg is a roller coaster at Silver Dollar City that may have one of the weirdest histories of any ride. Today it stands as an S&S launch coaster that also includes a lift hill along with many other elements like airtime hills and helixes. There's no denying that it's a great ride, but Powder Keg wasn't always like this. In fact, when it was originally built, it was called Buzzsaw Falls. It was a Premier Rides liquid coaster, kind of a stupid name for a model, but it was a hybrid log flume slash coaster, think something like Journey to Atlantis at SeaWorld Orlando. However, Buzzsaw Falls was plagued with mechanical problems even before its opening. Opening for the coaster was delayed for a while, and when it did finally open, it was down most of the time. This being the prototype of a new model, it's not unusual for something like this to have downtime, but Buzzsaw Falls had a plethora of maintenance problems that eventually led to Silver Dollar City deciding to completely overhaul it. It was here that S&S transformed it into Powder Keg, using some of the old track from Buzzsaw Falls as well as adding an entirely new section. So today it's a really fun coaster with a really weird history. Now let's get into the overall experience. Silver Dollar City has a really weird layout, and even though Powder Keg is kind of in the middle of everything, it can still be hard to find. It's located in the section of the park with Fire in the Hole. There's a massive hill kind of near it. However, there are signs around the park and you can ask staff members until you find it. The queue consists of switchbacks until you get to the station. One thing that stood out to me with Powder Keg was its atrocious operations. Silver Dollar City runs one train on 3 of their 4 major coasters, and Powder Keg is one of them. With a pretty long cycle time and really bad operations, a train was dispatching only once every 5 or 6 minutes. As a result, the line moved very slowly and backed up quickly. I was lucky enough to get almost a station wait on my first ride due to going early in the morning, but I still waited around 30 minutes. In the afternoon, the line was longer, and I waited around 2 hours because of one train, bad operations, skip the line guests, and weather. Powder Keg, as I learned the hard way, will not operate in the rain. The ride ops explained that it was because the transfer track couldn't be wet when the ride was still in operation, so even after it had stopped raining, we still had to wait 30 more minutes for a crew to come out and dry the track off. Getting back to the ride itself, Powder Keg uses S&S lap bars similar to what's on their drop towers. The trains are decently comfortable, and there's nothing about them that really stood out to me. Starting the layout, you roll out of the station onto the transfer track, which takes you up and to the left where the launch is. It's an air-compressed launch going from 0 to 53 miles per hour in 2.8 seconds. The launch is very powerful despite its modest stats, and now I can see why these air-compressed launches are praised. You immediately rise up into a large hill. This hill, as well as the one immediately after it, offers some pretty good floater airtime. The first section after the launch feels like a smaller version of a B&M Hyper. After the first camelback, you drop into a valley, which is where the rest of the ride takes place. This valley actually packs some decent positives as well as a lot of other moments during the ride. Like I mentioned, the following hill gives some decent floater, but nothing too much. The turnaround doesn't do much, but neither it nor any elements on the ride have to provide super strong forces. In my opinion, Powder Keg's more about that pure fun sensation, soaring through the woods. It's got great pacing, and it's also completely smooth. You then rise up and twist to the left. There's a bit of airtime, but this element is mostly for the whip. After that, you traverse a small turn and get to the section from the old Buzzsaw Falls ride. You can tell the change from the track, it looks noticeably different. Since the track was from a water coaster, it's almost unbanked, and the last few turns before the lift will have some really fun laterals, especially the sharp turn right before you ascend the lift. Once you're at the top, you're back into the S&S track, turning 180 degrees and plunging down the drop. It's got some decent floater near the back, but nothing special. You then navigate a helix, which packs some good positives, and pop up into the brake run, ending the ride. Overall, I found that Powder Keg mixes its forces really well. There's good airtime on those first few hills, positives in the valleys, and some sweet laterals before the lift hill. Of course, you can't forget the launch, definitely the best part of the ride and a great way to start it. Powder Keg is completely smooth, no rattle or anything. It's one of those pure fun rides, flying through the woods with speed, taking in your surroundings while still packing in really good elements. This has been kind of a short review, but Powder Keg's not a coaster that you break down and analyze for 10 minutes. It's just one that you go on and love. I don't really have anything more to say about it. It's a really fun ride and a great fit for Silver Dollar City. So I'll wrap this review up by giving Powder Keg a 9 out of 10. Obviously, it's not going to get a 9.5 or a 10 since it just doesn't pack in enough to compete with those top tier coasters. But what Powder Keg does do, it excels in it, and I love it. Thanks for watching to the end of the video. Obviously, this is a pretty small channel, so it'd mean a lot to me if you could subscribe. Stay tuned to the channel for more coaster content. Maybe like the video, leave a comment. I don't know what I'm supposed to say at these outros. Bye, I guess.